wrestling fans, wrestling pundits, wrestling extraordinaires, wrestling, I don't know what other names there are, but if you like wrestling and if you watch wrestling, because God knows there's about 40 hours of wrestling on a week now. So, I mean, it's 2016. It's a new era. Do they still say new era these days? I don't know. But I am the Nick Lopez, Pro Wrestling Opinion, founder, editor-in-chief. We give you everything from WWE, TNA, ROH, West Coast Wrestling Connection, AML Wrestling Live. Everything you could possibly imagine. Coverage, reviews. We used to do previews and predictions, but not so much anymore. And we might be maybe about a month or so behind. But hey, it's all in the name of wrestling. Who else is going to cover all that? We got it. Check it out. And we also got other things like podcasts. I do a couple of interviews as well. And speaking of podcasts, I think I'm actually on one right now. It's what's it called? The RSN Wrestling Podcast. And I'm gonna throw it to my other co-host, Mastermind Sal and Big Guy Rich. So hello guys, how's it going?
What's up? How's it going, Nick? Long time no see, man. It's been a while.
Well, long time no hear, but
no, indeed.
I am here right now, but just trudging along through life.
I know. Well, you said that you're. How's everything going now? You're still in the process of doing some of the coverage, right?
Yeah, I just finished the 6-hour freaking marathon that was SummerSlam, and if you look at SummerSlam weekend, if you technically count Raw and SmackDown, I think that's about 19 hours in the matter of 5 days. So think about it. That's 19 hours of wrestling, because you had Death Before Dishonor on Friday. That's 3 hours. You had NXT Takeover on Saturday. If you count the pre-show, that was 2.5 hours. We also had West Coast Wrestling Connection, tack on another hour. And then you had SummerSlam itself, which, counting the 2-hour pre-show and the 4-hour and 3-minute show, is around total of 6 minutes and 3 hours. And then a 3-hour Raw the day after that. And then a 2-hour SmackDown Live after that. I mean, if WWE's solution is just to come up with more and more content, then I think that's just what they want to do. I think I've watched more WWE. I've spent more hours watching WWE than I think I have worked at my job, which is really scary because I'm not making money those particular hours. But rest assured, we're still watching WWE. And trust me, if I didn't have to cover it, I probably wouldn't watch half of it. But it's incredibly hard to keep up with now. I mean, even when you throw in TNA and ROH, Lucha Underground, everything else that we cover, I mean, it's almost amazing, actually.
It's basically a job in itself.
Yeah, it is a job in of itself. I mean, watching the show, reviewing the show, eating dinner, lunch with Uncle Jim. These are parts of my day. And it's just, it's becoming a hassle, but I love it. The fans love it. My readers love it, and I do it for them. So I know I'm still a little bit out of the race, maybe 21st place, and I don't think I'm gonna make it to first place, but maybe I'll make it to third or fourth. We'll see how the rest of the race goes. If I don't, fall in a drunken humble like a white girl on the dance floor, we'll see how it all goes.
But just like you said, you don't get paid for it, and as me and Sal have been saying in the past podcasts, we do this because we love the industry of wrestling.
Indeed, and I mean also, well, let me ask you this, Nick: how the hell do you do it? You're the only man doing this, man. You're a one-man show, and I know it's a really hard job. I believe it's a lot to catch up on. But by the way, I'm looking on PWO, and I'm seeing it, and it's coming that time where I'm looking at the site, and basically what happens is there's like a ritual that I do every year. whenever Lucha Underground is on, I just end up, I end up missing out on it. I don't get time to watch it. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I end up going to your site and I look there and I'm like, okay, let me see if there's anything for Lucha Underground. And sadly, I'm looking, I'm like, oh man, there's nothing there. But then, I think, okay, this is a one man show. He's doing a lot of stuff. And I understand, that it's a hard task process, long process for you. So, I mean, I'm one of those fans waiting for those Lucha Underground reviews coming soon. I won't watch it until I see it on the site. So just know that I'm here. Basically keeping an eye out, seeing. Okay.
Thank you. I mean,
I do the same way with ROH.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because first of all, it's hard to find a Lucha Underground episode sometimes online because I am unluckily not one of the people who have the LRA network, which I'm not sure why Cablevision doesn't follow up on that. If any Cablevision executives are listening right now, please put on the LRA network. Make my life a little bit easier. But they're probably not listening.
Same thing with Sinclair. I'll take something with ROH also.
I mean, but you do. I mean, the thing is, ROH does put up their television show on their website. Maybe about 6 days removed from the actual show itself when it streams on air. They'll throw it up on the website about maybe I think 2 or 3 days later. So you're able to watch it on the website. Just if you're past that point, then it's a little bit more tough because you can't really find any ROH episodes online like you used to be able to, and you actually have to be a ringside exclusive member to be able to find any other. You can access ROH's entire video library, but I think you have to pay like what $14.99 or something like that. I like my things for free. I like my fans like to read things for free. I don't make them like to pay for things. Who likes to pay for things?
So you're basically not going to be like. So you're basically not going to be like the WWE Network in the near future.
Yeah,
Basically not. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting idea. I mean, given how far behind I am, it's impossible not to read the internet. I mean, I have heard all the hubbub about TNA and all that. But it's a little bit interesting because I think they own TNA's library now. I guess
for $25 million, Vince bought it.
I haven't heard any like official confirmation, but they're playing around with the idea, which I don't like the idea because when they came up with the network, their whole thing is where it's only going to be $9.99. You get everything. You get live shows. You get NXT. You can basically access everything WWE has ever produced, except WWE's ECW and Sci-Fi shows, which I guess even they want to forget it ever existed. But I mean, maybe
that existed at one point. What was this? I don't recall.
Yeah, I know. I mean, CM Punk was on it. John Morrison was on it. I mean, hell, Monty Brown was even on it. But
Ezekiel Jackson, the last ECW champ, was on it too.
Yeah, I guess they just don't want to remember that.
Wait,
but
if you want to get technical, is he the longest champion ever? Did he break Bruno's record yet?
I don't know, but. Now that I have mentioned ECW and WWE ECW, I can't help but bring up something that we're going to be talking about over the next hour, and that's the best and the worst WWE pay-per-views. Sure, we're not going to limit it to just WWE. I mean, we might sprinkle in some TNA and some ROH, but the fact that WWE has such an extensive video library of all these pay-per-views, good stuff, bad stuff, we want to just condense it to 1 hour of the best and worst. And I think it's an appropriate start to start things off with the ECW December to Dismember 2006. Oh God, that was a show I watched live, and
what a year too.
I want my.
Can we forget that even existed, that pay-per-view?
I want my money back.
I want to forget that whole year.
I want to forget those 3 hours, and unfortunately, I can't do it. I mean, my God, that was one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life.
And what was it? 2 matches only? 2 matches were on the card, right? It was only the
2 matches were announced. One was the Hardys and Eminem, which those guys could actually tear the house down. So I think that was the one shining light on the card.
Was that the match when Nitro broke his nose?
No.
That was I think Armageddon.
Yeah, that was Armageddon 2006, the fatal 4-way
ladder match.
Yeah, it happened a month later, but the Hardys and Eminem were still feuding at the time. So, it was actually pretty cool to see those guys fight on the show. Not really sure what it had to do with ECW. And then you had the Extreme Elimination Chamber match that, it originally featured Big Show, Bobby Lashley, RVD, Hardcore Holly, CM Punk, and the most hardcore guy alive, Test.
Well, yeah, I mean,
except we had that freaking BS development that Sabu was quote unquote injured and couldn't compete when the freaking guy was one of the selling points of the freaking match. Like, I wanted to see what he was gonna do in that chamber.
Yeah, and what did they find out afterwards? It was basically some drug troubles, I think, right?
I think that's when he got caught with RVD.
Well, no, that was, I think, yeah, matter of fact, I think it was. It was, that time, I think.
It's like the 15th time in their career.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a natural thing for them, so, they're used to it probably. But, I mean, that pay-per-view was kind of, memorable, too. Because if you think about it, too, in a way, it was. I mean, if you really think about it, prior to that, TNA was actually, I think on the site, I know the website, but at the time, they were running a storyline where Eminem was supposed to challenge a mystery tag team. And that ended up becoming the Hardys. But I think TNA ran like a story on their site too, saying, VCAM's going to show up at the arena and everything. And that actually, in a way, they were feuding with WWE in regard to, this is 2006. So mind you, Impact Zone, things are going and all that stuff. And the next thing you know, who comes up? The Hardys.
Well, it's actually at the time for TNA, because don't forget, it was growing. I think Impact was starting to get some fire. They were starting to think outside of the box a little bit. Don't forget, you had Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle at the time, and those guys were feuding. And that was crazy, and I think it was maybe it was publicity, but it was smart publicity because it created some interest on the TNA product, but didn't really do anything for WWE. They still continued to deny TNA's existence as a whole, except that changed really recently. But I guess when you get money talks. But so it's just interesting how, looking back on it, the fact that it was 10 years ago, and looking back and seeing how things played out. Would that happen necessarily nowadays is what I would worry about.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll think about this too. So they had ECW 2006. Basically, it was starting up. They're making their own weekly show. And let me talk to you about. This is a good transition, basically. I bet you guys remember this clearly. 2005, Hammerstein Ballroom, one night stand, 3 words. ECW. Do you guys remember that?
The original one night stand?
That, I think, was the single best pay-per-view in that era of 2010, basically. I would argue that hands down because it was natural.
I still watch that to this day.
And it's a legendary pay-per-view.
I liked it. I just think 2006 was kind of better. But I mean, if you're going for the traditionalist ECW perspective, then 2005 was definitely your night. I just happen to like 2006 a little bit more because it presented kind of like a shining hope that, all right, ECW is going to be on TV now, and they got all this, and RVD beat John Cena, and
420,
and,
yeah.
God, and they hate Cena and this and that. I mean, it was kind of cool.
If Cena wins, we riot.
That was the most, that was the biggest, that sign, basically the picture of that sign basically summarized that whole venue there. Everybody hated it. Everybody was throwing middle fingers at Cena and this, that. But what I think also made it memorable was, I think, we brought the point up with 2006. The basically Money in the Bank was cashed in. RVD's home. Basically, it was on his home turf against Cena, the underdog. And then what ended up happening was, of course, that surprise. At that time, it was pretty surprising to see that because it was always that whole image of Cena always winning. You know, that's what I think it started. Where
But what
Cena
also
was like,
made that good though is that was the first time Money in the Bank was cashed in, and it was not on that one moment. They basically planned it out like 2 weeks before.
And also it was on a
happen.
Yep, and it was also historic because it was in an ECW pay-per-view. Basically, it was kind of like it was in an ECW ring rather than a WWE ring. So RVD made history on that one. But it also rejuvenated his career because that pay-per-view basically, that whole lead-up was basically building him up because he ended up winning. He ended up having this push. And then out of nowhere, of course, drugs, whenever that gets involved, that just derails everything. And there was a point where it looked like they were going to have some big plans with RVD, maybe do some big things with him. But, you know, of course, morale, drugs, that comes in the way. People just say, oh, no, we're not doing that for you.
But I also like the 2005 One Night Stand better because of that famous shoot that Paul Heyman did.
That was from the heart, too. And I think it was also I like that pay-per-view because it was planned from basically, that was Paul Heyman's brainchild. That was all Paul Heyman from start to finish. It wasn't a WWE show. You didn't have writers come up to them and hand them a piece of paper and say, this is the format. They said, no, fuck the format. This is what we're going to do. And I think that was, one of the highlights there. Because you remember seeing that segment where Paul Heyman, he's crying. He's literally crying because that's a genuine thing. And he was saying, I'm not crying because I'm really crying. He's like, I'm crying because I had to smoke a joint in the back with RVD.
I smoked a joint in the back with Van Damme.
Yeah, basically, I mean, that's, that comes from the heart, of course. And you could see he was getting emotional.
I have 3 words for you. No, 2 words for you. Matt freaking Hardy.
What about him?
No, that was just like the one shot he threw at Edge.
Oh, wait, that was a Botchamania moment too, I think, right?
Because he said 2 words and it ended up being 3 words.
And JBL's like, what? Like, that's 3 words. And then everybody's like, whatever, fuck it. It was still,
it was part of the promo and everyone just flew with it.
And here's what's so crazy too. At that moment, Eric Bischoff was in the same building. In the Hammerstein Ballroom, basically ECW's home. Imagine, it's kind of surreal to think that. In the 90s, you would have never thought that. You would have never thought that ECW and WCW would ever cross paths.
You would never think that anyone in any of those 3 companies would be in the same arena together.
Yeah, and I think there was a segment too, right? Before that with, there was like a funeral, supposedly. Like a funeral tribute for ECW, where I think all 3 of them, Paul, Eric, and McMahon, were all in the ring at the same time.
I think that was the week prior.
Yeah, it was like a good segment too, because that was like literally what, basically introduced the pay-per-view and basically sold it in a way. But that's kind of surreal. I mean, if you think about it, basically the owner of WCW, the guy that was basically looting all the time from ECW, was in the same arena. And it's full of people, a bunch of people that are diehard fans that hated WCW at the time. It's kind of surreal to think that. And also, here's another thing too. I was looking back, I think like a week ago, Eddie and Benoit faced. I think in that they faced in a match, I think, right?
For the final time.
And that's another thing too. It's the final time, and it's kind of surreal. You kind of look at that at the time and went, "Oh, okay, whatever. This is a classic match." But then later on, when you look at it, it's like, "Oh shit, this is legendary." And imagine if you were in the ring and you were actually, if you were in that arena at the time, basically you lived one moment that is engraved in history forever.
It was just, I think that was a great pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think it was too. I think until I think around 2007, 2008. That's when One Night Stand just totally became a WWE product, and they just shoved everything out. That basically just, turned into a hellhole. Because I think 2007 was basically, what was it?
One Night Stand, but it still kind of lives on nowadays because Extreme Rules was derived from One Night Stand.
Right, yeah.
I guess the term One Night Stand didn't fit the PG era, so it turned into Extreme Rules.
Right. Basically the same thing.
Yeah, but let me ask you guys this: what about So what do you guys feel about the theme pay-per-views? Because right now, for example, with Extreme Rules, they have an Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Then they have another pay-per-view that's just Hell in a Cell. Another pay-per-view that's just TLC. For one time, they had a pay-per-view that was just Fatal 4-Way, and this is all in the PG era. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I didn't like it.
I think it was just lazy.
I think it was overdone. Yeah.
Overdone?
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, I mean, if you do a match so many times that you point out this is so special, but then you do it every year or every match is like that, then it kind of loses its luster. I mean, I'll point out TNA's Lockdown. At one point, there was a show where every single match took place in a steel cage. The first 2 or 3 matches are cool, yeah, but by the time you get to the main event, you're kind of tired of that freaking cage, and you just want to see it destroyed. So I mean, a gimmick pay-per-view. I mean, it gives you a reason to watch the show, but if you do it over and over and over, it becomes the novelty wears off. It's not what it was intended to be.
Definitely, that's what I think. One of the main factors why that didn't work too. But I think it was also because WWE. I think at that time, it felt like they were having this. I mean, they were transitioning from the after the Benoit thing happened. Basically, after WWE was under this whole fire with wrestlers being untreated, steroid scandal. Basically, from there they were trying to change their image, and I think what they were trying to do at this point was just educate the non-viewer, basically the person that doesn't regularly watch. They were trying to entertain them, and they just kind of
the opposite of us.
Yeah, basically the people that are new, like fresh, basically haven't been exposed to WWE at all, or have been exposed minimally.
Not the vanilla internet marks.
Not the vanilla internet marks, quote unquote. Basically, just a new fan that's trying to watch it. And I think that's kind of like they were just trying to explain the stuff to them. Because I mean, if you really think about this in WCW, when they had all those crazy fancy matches with the 3 cages and all that stuff, where they had 3 cages on top. Half those times, it didn't even make sense. Like if you were like a new fan at the time watching it, would you really understand what's going on?
Not at all.
Not at all, right?
If you were a new fan.
Yeah, and I think their psychology was, okay, if we name the pay-per-views, at least it gives a person like, okay, some knowledge of what's gonna happen. Which I think is kind of stupid and retarded too. I mean, it's like, basically you're overexposing it, causing them, like to the next point. Basically you're overexposing it, causing them to, say, okay, this is what's gonna happen. And then it's like, okay, you have 1 or 2 fatal 4-way matches, but the whole pay-per-view is just basically, just regular matches. So what's the point of saying it's a fatal 4-way? It's just stupid. It's it just makes no sense. Like for example, the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view as well. Elimination Chamber. Basically, it was just, okay, you have a couple of tag matches there, 1 or 2 Elimination Chamber matches. What's the point?
Which is fine. The 2 titles.
Yeah, I understand that, but but still, why? Well, yeah, that brings up a point too. With this whole this is kind of segueing off of that. So with the introduction of the Universal title, I know you're aware of this, right, Nick?
Huh?
You're aware of the new Universal title, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So now that they brought back the Universal title, they're gonna have basically it changes the whole pay-per-view lineup, doesn't it? Because think about this. Basically, they have Money in the Bank. Maybe there might be 2 Money in the Banks. Do you think?
Probably. That's something I didn't even think about.
Yeah,
I would actually like
I don't
Money in the
like
Bank.
I don't like the idea though, because I'm already over Money in the Bank at this point. And
Yeah.
now you're gonna have 2 belts to do the freaking briefcase cash-in thing on. Like
Yeah,
I kind of wish they would just retire it.
I personally think there should be 1 Money in the Bank, and the winner chooses whichever title he wants to go for.
That's what they used to do.
Yeah, they do that
2
for
titles.
Yeah, and they're about to do that thing. Same thing with the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble basically has if there's 2 world titles, the person got to choose. In 2003, I think Lesnar got a chance to choose. 2004, Benoit got a chance to choose. 2005, Batista got a chance to choose between which brand. But like same thing with Elimination Chamber. Basically, you have two world title matches. So in the upcoming year, we might be seeing this stuff. So it's something to take consideration of, because whenever something happens with where they introduce a new title, a draft happens, a unification, that basically changes up the whole lineup for the whole year. So it's very interesting to see what's going to happen in the future. Maybe we might see 2 Royal Rumble winners. Maybe we might see 1. Maybe there might be 2 Money in the Banks. You never know. Maybe they'll have WrestleMania where Money in the Bank was back in WrestleMania. You never know. What are you guys' thoughts on that with wrestling, with Money in the Bank being its own pay-per-view versus being at WrestleMania?
I think it should go back to being at WrestleMania like it originally was.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it doesn't make sense to have it be its own pay-per-view, because it's like okay, like we kind of overexposed to it, aren't we? Because it's like we see it every single time. We know what to expect, and basically,
Majority of the time, you also could tell who the winner is going to be.
Yeah, it's basically predictable. But now, like, if they had it at WrestleMania, that kind of be a big deal because, I mean, think about this when let's say 2007, 2008, when Punk won the title back, when he won the Money in the Bank back to back. That was unexpected. At the time, we never expected that, right?
I think no one expects it to someone doing it back to back.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's say, take a look at WrestleMania when they had a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. Did you ever think in a million years that Zack Ryder would be walking out of there with all those marquee names?
I thought it was going to be Owens' name.
I really thought it was going to be Owens' name too, but I mean that's kind of and on WrestleMania, that's also a big deal too.
The ironic thing to me though is that if they were still going to do ladder matches, multi-man ladder matches at WrestleMania anyway, they could have just had it be Money in the Bank and just have a regular Intercontinental title match. You didn't really need to, because if you look at the last two WrestleManias, they've been multi-man ladder matches for the IC title.
Yep.
So it kind of seems pointless to me because if you're still going to do a multi-man ladder match or WrestleMania, just have it be the Money in the Bank match. And there's a lot more intrigue and interest in that.
Because you also, if someone wins, you don't know if they're going to cash in that night.
Mm-hmm.
Which has, well, basically, I think Seth Rollins was the only one that did that, right? Where he cashed in the night of WrestleMania.
I think that's the only time it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like the same thing. But,
I mean, really do that again.
Yeah, I mean, but it'll be interesting to see, if somebody won the Money in the Bank and then cashed it in right that night too, in line with Seth. So the possibility of it happening, I doubt it because I think Seth's name is immortalized with that. But we never know. Well, how about this? With so we've talked about WWE. Let me ask you guys about this. What about like ROH and TNA? Their whole format between pay-per-views. Because I know you guys. I know Rich, you watch a lot of ROH. I know Nick, you usually follow a lot of ROH. Personally, I mean, I haven't watched it a lot. I haven't gotten a chance to. But what's their pay-per-view format like? Is it like the WWE? Is it different? Like, what do what is it like?
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. But
I don't think they have any themes, right?
Well, I know ROH Final Battle is like the biggest show of the year. Like they kind of follow what WCW used to do, like when Starrcade was in December. I kind of like the idea of having December be your be all end all of the year. You're kind of supposed to build things up to a grand finale, and just like you're ending the year, hey, we're ending a lot of these feuds. So I kind of like that in one regard, but if you think about WrestleMania, it is kind of awkward because it's like you're hitting the reset button in basically the middle of the year, and then you're working your way.
Now it's the beginning of the year for WrestleMania.
Yep. Well, this is like the WrestleMania season, right? This is basically, well, not yet. I mean, it starts at Royal Rumble, but basically the seeds, basically whatever's planted in, that starts now, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, from now till probably Survivor Series. Probably that's when it starts. That's after Survivor Series. That's when full planning starts, right? Basically, but like so what about like for example, I know if they have Field of Honor. Is it like their SummerSlam or how's that work?
Field of Honor is just like a house show.
It's just a house show.
Stadium.
It's not really like a pay-per-view.
Oh really?
It's just like a show.
Yeah, it's just a show.
It just happens to be in the middle of the summer in a baseball stadium.
Yeah.
Really. So I mean, with so let me ask you this. So they have basically the live events, and then they have the pay-per-views, right? But so the thing that I heard that they do is they overlap, kind of, right? So kind of like it's a live event, but at the same time, it's it's kind of like a pay-per-view atmosphere too, right?
I think so.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, sort of. But the funny thing is, I went to ROH shows like going back as far as 2004, when guys like Punk, Joe, and Styles were still in the promotion. ROH in of itself felt like a big show, but I don't know if it was just because the company was building up and these were the shows they were doing. So when you watch an ROH DVD, it felt like a pay-per-view. Except now, now they do their own live events, and then they do their TV show, and then they do their pay-per-views. So it's like, when I still watch the pay-per-views, it still feels like a live show. But I guess they make it a little bit more special because now they now they naturally use the TV show to build up to the pay-per-view matches, and
Nick,
then
I
I
have
guess
a
live
question for you when you're
events.
finished, okay?
Yep.
And then I guess the live events are kind of just just kind of like a rough draft, I guess, of the matches they would have at the pay-per-views. But I like it. But ROH is building up. I know they got Best in the World. They do Global Wars. They do Death Before Dishonor.
They have
The
All-Star Extravaganza.
Yeah, the anniversary show, and then they build up to Final Battle. I think they have like 6 or 7 pay-per-views now a year, which they're gonna build to it in time. I know TNA also had a point in time where they did 12 pay-per-views, except now they really don't have money. So now I think they did 4 a year. Now I think it's 2 a year, and now they just have pay-per-view themed Impact Wrestling episodes. But I guess it varies. I mean, the more you do something, the less of a novelty. The novelty wears off, but the less you do something, the more you build anticipation. Which again is why I'm not a fan of 19 yearly pay-per-views from WWE now, and that's not even counting the NXT Takeover specials.
Nick, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
These 19 pay-per-views, is there anywhere that these fans could read about them?
Well, there's lots of websites,
Yeah, a lot of dirt sheets from what I mean, right?
Do you know that one website that has segment by segment though?
Yes, I'm actually aware of it. Yeah, I mean, well, there's also sites. You can go to anything that says PW. PW. Pro wrestling this or pro wrestling that. But the highlight, the biggest, basically the best kind of, any kind of site that offers the best coverage, that's step by step, in depth, keyword, mind you, folks, in depth. If you go to any other site, they're gonna basically give you subtitles, basically just giving you quick, 1 to 3 shot and you're done. But
they give you quick results.
But this site actually goes in depth with it. You can actually picture it while you're reading it, and that's the beauty of it. And I think you know what that site is, right? It's 3 letters.
It's prowrestlingopinion.com.
PWO. Write that down. PWO. Prowrestlingopinion.com.
Don't we have them? You know the guy who runs the site, right?
Yes, we do. He's actually on our podcast, I believe, right?
Can you please let the fans know what his name is?
It's the Brian Kendrick. The Brian. Well, fuck. I botched that one up. My fault.
Eva Marie.
I guess.
Eva Marie. I botched up. I botched up. I botched that one. I botched that one up. But his name now is the Nick Lopez.
And so, being the fact that I usually do tagline time, I think the creator of the site should do it since he's on the show. Nick, would you like to do tagline time?
I like tagline time. It's such a bright part of my day. I mean, yeah.
Please hit them with tagline time.
Yeah. We're pro wrestling opinion, keeping the squared circle relevant. We do everything. Again, we said it at the top of the hour, but we're gonna drill it in your head again. Check the site out. We do, coverage, reviews of everything from WWE, TNA, ROH. We even throw in some independent companies like West Coast Wrestling Connection, America's Most Liked Wrestling. We also covered Pro Wrestling Syndicate. They now turned into WrestlePro. Whenever they crank out a TV show, we'll be sure to cover them too. Basically everything that's pro wrestling that's on national television will basically find its way to my site. Again, the ever-growing content of wrestling is just growing by the year. We'll try to keep up with it as best as we can. But basically, if you want to look back at any Raw, Impact, or NXT episode, or any Takeover from the whole calendar year 2015, everything in 2016 up to SummerSlam, we've got it on the site. I break everything down segment by segment. What did I think of that segment? What do I think of this segment? What about that match? Literally everything WWE throws out on their television screens, I have personally sat through for all of you people, and I break it all down. I don't pull any punches. And people tell me, they message me on Twitter, like, hey, we respect your honesty. You know, it makes us better. You know, wrestling companies have messaged me that on Twitter. You know, the fact that you could be so honest and actually get recognized for it, it's kind of flattering, actually. Will it lead to anything? You know, if any wrestling sites out there listen to me, you know, I don't mind writing some opinion pieces for you, but I think you might be better off writing some opinion pieces for me because PWO is the place to be. And I like that. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt somewhere. But I already do have t-shirts that will probably say, you know, reading about pro wrestling is fundamental, but, you know, actually, that's not the tagline. See, Sal, you've driven Eva Marie vibes over in my direction.
Well, you guys said that name. You guys introduced that name though.
This is turning into the RSN wrestling train wreck. Oh my gosh!
But
wrestling train wreck slash
we didn't have to mention
Eva
that
Marie.
name. We didn't have to mention that name if you didn't mess up Nick's name.
Well, you know, we're going through this transition. You know, it's like, you know, it's with his name. It's kind of crazy. First it was the COO, then it was the executive, but now we have a full defined, like, you know, basically a name that is superseding everything. Basically, like, you know, a title unification where you got the world title, the championship, and now it's basically the undisputed championship. So now we got an undisputed name. Those two names have been combined and unified. Now they are the Brian Kendrick, the Nick Lopez. I'm totally botching this up.
Doing it again.
Yep.
Take two with the tagline, okay?
All right. Reading is fundamental. Reading, wow.
Okay, take three.
Take three.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand by.
Fuck it. I'll do it. Reading is fundamental. Reading about wrestling puts you over.
See, you didn't botch that one. You should do it from now on, man.
As long as you don't mess up his name, I will not have to do it.
You might as well just call me Eva Marie at this point.
See, this whole flow is getting messed up now, but we'll see.
Just so you fans know, Kevin Dunn is writing this episode.
He's responsible for this. Definitely, it's all his fault. You know how Gene Snitsky used to say, "It's not my fault." Well, it's fucking Kevin Dunn's fault. Fuck that beaver looking fuck. But fuck him. Anyway, let's move on. So, you know how TNA has this one pay-per-view that defines their stars? This is one pay-per-view in specific I'm talking about. 2005, Unbreakable, where it was Joe.
That was wow.
But see, you know what I'm talking about, right?
They didn't even have that pay-per-view around anymore.
Definitely. But here's another thing. Let me ask you this. That match basically had AJ and Joe headlining it. They had Christopher Daniels. I think they had Chris Sabin also. They had Alex Shelley. They had a whole bunch of TNA originals, basically the people that started TNA and developed it and basically put it on the map. That was actually one of those pay-per-views.
The funny thing is, they talk about a Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe match, but I don't think anybody realized that match was actually for the X Division title, not the world title.
Yep. That's another thing too. It's kind of overlooked.
That's the thing about the X Division. I like that anyone could compete for it, no matter how big you are.
Yep.
Joe, not an X Division guy, and he held the title a few times.
A 200+ pounder, and he was doing all those crazy moves. That was one of I think. But one thing was the chemistry between all three of them, because they fought in different kind of companies also, but they had this chemistry. There was a certain kind of chemistry that night that made it kind of special, because you basically
they always say the best feuds and the best matches come from best of friends. Because you guys know how to work with each other. Yep.
But I think
look at all three of them. They're three of the best friends in wrestling.
And it put them on the map. I think it got everybody's attention that these guys aren't, that you shouldn't play with them. But here's also another thing. AJ Styles has been WWE champion. He's been he's been a champion basically. He's been a TNA champ. Joe has been a TNA champ.
ROH. He's been New Japan champ.
Yep. Basically, they've been X Division champs, but also been world champs. But Christopher Daniels seems to be out of the picture. He hasn't won a world title yet. Does that kind of get you? Like it's kind of bizarre, me that. Okay,
I love Christopher Daniels, but I can't picture him as the guy though.
I think he can.
The funny thing is, because I think he was one of the founding fathers of ROH, and actually, if I do recall, I think he was the first ROH champion.
Really?
The funny thing was he was ROH's top heel from the get-go. he had this stable called the Prophecy, which
I
you know,
remember
which
them.
is what his fallen angel moniker derives from. And
Oh,
if you look on his sternum, he's got the fallen angel symbol, and that's kind of just where it came from. So it's funny because in ROH he was very much the guy, like the top heel. I think for the first year. So it's kind of weird that it hasn't translated in to like TNA, and then again in ROH where he's back again, but he's kind of just stuck with Kazarian and the Addiction, which kind of isn't moving from their spot in the tag team division. When Daniels could be so much more as like a top guy right now, like he could be on the main event scene because he at one time he was, but it's. I guess he's just content with where he's at right now.
is it age?
Although I think Daniels and Kazarian were in a better place in TNA because they were able to do a little bit more and kind of push the envelope and get away with a lot of stuff.
Right, but do you think it's kind of the age? Because I think it's kind of I think there was this argument that Chris is more prone to injury, and then he couldn't wrestle and all that stuff. Because you gotta understand, he was also in I think WCW, and he also did a couple of tapings like as a jobber in WWE. So at that point they kind of didn't have confidence in him, and there was many reports where they kind of looked at him and said, "Oh, he's getting up in age, he's not gonna be able to perform well." And but if you look at how he's performing now, he's performing at the highest level right now. And at that age, it's kind of surreal because if you look at many wrestlers, yeah,
I didn't even know he was 46. Holy
it's surreal. When you look at that, it's like and if you look at all the guys, if you look at all the guys that are over 45, can they perform like him? Like it's crazy. Sting got injured
he's still doing the best moonsault ever.
Yeah, and he's doing the things that young guys are doing now, like the Cedric Alexanders are doing, like the ACHs are doing. Basically, he's doing the same thing. Like he's fighting that same kind of style, but you don't see him getting injured. You don't see him getting any kind of concussions or anything like that. He's not prone to that. He's performing well. So it's kind of surreal that, and here's what really baffles me too. He's not in WWE yet. Like WWE hasn't even made the attempt to call him.
I don't think he's gonna go though.
I think eventually he will. There will be a point where they will call him.
He was. Well, actually, he did have a developmental deal with the WWF. He trained at the Funkin' Dojo. I think Dory Funk Jr.'s training dojo. Yeah. He was actually. I think he was on a couple of Sunday Night Heat matches, but
he was also on Jacked and Velocity too.
Yeah, he was only a jobber. He was actually on ECW too at one point. He was on Hardcore TV, faced Rhino, and then ironically enough, he was actually one of the Los Conquistadors.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
That was Edge and Christian.
So I think he was in the right company at the right time. He just didn't.
He wasn't utilized.
It didn't follow through.
He wasn't utilized, right? But he was on. He made an appearance on the WCW Nitro too. So, he's been around. It just wasn't, probably what he wanted it to be. But I think where he really first made his name was when ROH came about. And actually, the funny thing is, the Code of Honor, that was basically how they made the first heels in the company, because all they would have to simply do is just, hey, fuck this Code of Honor. I'm not following that. I'm
not to shake his hand.
Boom,
right
there. You're labeled as disrespectful, and the fans got something to cheer against you for.
And if you look at WWE now, some of the guys actually do the Code of Honor.
Well, yeah, they started, I think, with the CWC. Now they started doing that. But I think it's that indie feel again. I think that's like, basically in ROH early days they used to do that. Like like you guys said, basically it was just it basically was a basis of, okay, it's uniformity, it's universal. This is how we work. And now it's like, there comes a point where one guy he supersedes that and he says, fuck that. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm gonna heel. I'll do whatever the hell I want. And I think, for example, in Chris's example, he was one of those guys. And it's kind of interesting now also that WWE is trying to follow that indie style. But let me ask you about this too. So basically WWE has these four, basically the four top pay-per-views. They got the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, what else? Survivor Series and SummerSlam. you don't see any other company have that kind of lineup, do you? I mean, really, it's kind of like, and I mean, in addition, I think WWE just announced Survivor Series is now going to be a 3-day event as well. So you know how SummerSlam is usually,
Wait,
SummerSlam,
what?
WrestleMania. Yeah,
What? No.
3-day event. Yes, yes. So you know about that, Nick. It's
Oh,
going to be pain.
God.
Yep. It's more news for you, but yeah,
Too much
it's strategic.
content.
Too much content indeed. It is, but I guess that's what WWE is trying to shoot for.
Actually, if you think about it,
hours,
it's going to
too.
be a 4-day event now.
Yeah.
Because SmackDown is now Tuesdays. So it's
Oh,
Saturday,
right,
Sunday, Monday,
right.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's well. Actually, you could say it's a 5. Well, matter of fact, it's a 5-day event too.
NXT.
NXT also, that's taped prior, so a lot of stuff for you, Nick.
That's like what, 20-something hours in 5 days.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll throw up the review sometime next year.
Yep, definitely.
He'll get those review up by next Survivor Series, guys.
Yep, definitely. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, basically, Nick is trying his best, so you gotta bear with him. He, basically, again, it's worth the wait because you get to see everything. You basically get an.
And just so you guys know, he doesn't even read the results.
He definitely doesn't even read the results, just like I don't even read his name. So that's a fact. But I mean, it's also another thing with basically these 4 pay-per-views that they have. They're basically now starting with NXT having these takeover events now following or preceding the actual pay-per-views now. You
Which
guys heard
I
about
think
this?
is great.
You think it's a good idea? Well, let me ask you this. With NXT, why don't they have a pay-per-view where it's just NXT being developed as its own thing? Because if you notice, NXT TakeOver is usually on a Saturday.
And it's usually better than the actual pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But actually, they're usually on Wednesdays.
Really?
But because the way they've been doing it is on pay-per-view weekends now.
They only have the Dark Show on Wednesdays.
Yeah. I think what they did now. Yeah, because if you look at Takeover Dallas, which I still think, by the way, is my favorite show of the year.
It was better than WrestleMania.
Yeah,
it was
agree.
better than WrestleMania. I think it was better than SummerSlam. I think a random Raw from March was better than SummerSlam. But you can go and read my SummerSlam review if you really want to know why.
Where can you read it?
ProWrestlingOpinion.com.
Indeed. And that's a good plug too. See, right there. See, that's what I was talking about to you with earlier, Nick. The best we got. Yep.
Plug, yeah.
Yep. Indeed.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying. I think they should just keep NXT TakeOver the way it is. NXT doesn't need to be a 3-hour show. It doesn't need to be a big drawn out event. NXT has proved you can have great matches and things worth talking about. You just have to structure the show right.
Right.
I always
like
compare
NXT Brooklyn, the first one.
Yeah,
amazing.
I always compare Takeover to the WWE pay-per-view that comes the day after, and I always find myself pointing to Takeover as that was the better show. I don't think it's a secret anymore. Because if you look at Takeover Brooklyn 2, even though it wasn't quite the caliber of the original Takeover Brooklyn, it still had a lot of really good things within it. I also have my review up on the site as well. You should check it out. Because the thing I liked about Takeover Brooklyn 2 is that, all right, there weren't any breakthrough classics. I mean, I think the tag team title match between Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and the Revival was fantastic. But you didn't really have any jaw dropping Bailey, Sasha, anything to the level of that match. But every show
I think Joe versus Nakamura was great though.
Every show on the match was excellent.
Yeah.
Wait. Every match on the show was excellent. That's what I meant to say. My God.
Eva Marie.
Today is the Eva Marie show. That's
what
it is.
Eva Marie tribute hour.
The Eva Marie tribute hour, indeed. Yes.
But I'm going to leave the guys laying. Allow yourself to be entranced. I still like that entrance. I don't know. That's just me.
Rich, pass the Adderall.
Oh my God.
You got the Adderall? I need to focus more.
But
I need to focus on wrestling, even though I suck.
I'm swimming.
No, I gave him all
Let me get back to water. Let me get back to this water surface. Damn it! All right, what I was trying to say, but what
all
I do like about
on this show were great.
Yeah, What I liked about Takeover Brooklyn too was that every single match or segment had a talking point to it. I mean,
I have a
No Way
question
Jose
for
and
you,
Austin
though.
Aries. You were talking about.
Was it glorious?
Yeah, you were talking about the conga line entrance. Or you're talking about Aries beating No Way Jose. I mean, Bobby Roode's entrance alone, that was the talking point. You had Bailey and Asuka. That was a fantastic match.
And
Bam,
Ramon?
talking point. Revival and Gargano Ciampa. Look at how hard fought that match was. Bam, talking point. Nakamura beats Joe for the title. Bam, talking point.
And broke his jaw.
And then Ember Moon, she debuted. I mean, she's kind of cool too. She came from Shimmer, she wrestled on the independent scene. She was Athena. I mean, that match was good too. And then bam,
her finisher is amazing.
Corkscrew, stunner. I mean, holy crap, that was amazing too. Bam, talking point. You see what I mean? Every single match has a talking point to it.
You know what else was great about that show?
What?
No Eva Marie.
Yes. Basically. I mean, any show without Eva Marie is just a reason to celebrate.
I'm just going out there. The past month and a half without her was amazing.
Yeah. I still have to go through that.
Well, here's another thing too, though. I mean, with that whole show, it overshadowed basically SummerSlam for sure. But let me ask you guys this: SummerSlam was, I think, every year for some reason they keep increasing it by an hour because of the pre-show. It was, I think, a 4-hour pay-per-view or a 3-hour pay-per-view last year. The year before, I think, something like that. And then every year after that, it's been going more and more. Supposedly this year was 6 hours worth of coverage.
It was
for the pay-per-view. 6 hours. And if you notice, a lot of people had this complaint that it was too long. It was too tiring. It was too exhausting.
It dragged out. Yeah,
it dragged out. And you see the whole crowd being tired of it. Because by the time that, it was like halfway, maybe even into the second hour, everybody was kind of like, okay, let's just leave. It's freaking like.
I knew a lot of people who were at SummerSlam, and they said it was just like the crowd was getting tired 3 matches before the main event.
It's exhausting, yeah.
That's when I felt tired too. And then fucking Jon Stewart comes out with a New Day shirt. I just wanted to die.
I don't understand this. Why would they have? Basically, they had 3 no contests. You had basically the Brock and Randy Orton no contest. You had what else? Roman Reigns, Rusev. Then you had New Day and Luke and Gallows. Luke Gallows and Anderson. Basically no contest. On a big show, it kind of baffles me. Why wouldn't they do that? It's kind of like
Roman versus Rusev didn't even happen.
Yeah, it didn't even happen. That was kind of just disappointing, And then on top of that, with that finish for Brock and Orton, they said it was a work. It kind of looked like it wasn't, but then the way that it did it, I mean, it was kind of like, okay, it pissed the crowd off because there's like a record. Because 2015, year before, they had this whole thing with the Bell situation with Undertaker and Brock. Now they have this thing with Orton and with Brock also now with basically the no contest finish. So it's kind of like next year, are we gonna expect that? And if it is, what's the point of even watching a wrestling basically watching SummerSlam with Brock Lesnar headlining it?
And if you remember WrestleMania this year, it was technically 7 hours. So, I mean, another 2-hour pre-show, and the show itself was 5 hours, I think.
It was 4 hours and 52 minutes.
4 hours, 52 minutes, and then a 2-hour pre-show. That's freaking 7 hours of new content. I mean,
plus NXT, which is another 2 hours.
Yep, and
Raw.
Yeah, and you can't make this stuff up.
Yep. Well, it's kind of, I think what WWE is trying to do is trying to expand, because if you notice, they used to have
just make a whole day just to one pay-per-view then. Start at 10 in the morning, the pre-show, and start the show at 12 noon. And why don't they go till 10 o'clock at night, and you have every superstar on both shows fighting out one big pay-per-view.
I'm waiting for a kayfabe news story that WWE Network is just going to air one year-long pay-per-view with non-stop matches.
It's disappointing though. Just keep seeing that they keep increasing the time. By the time it's 2060, you're gonna see WrestleMania be like 10 hours. I guarantee you, non-stop.
It's gonna be 60 hours. What are you talking?
60 hours. I don't even know. It's gonna be crazy because now
it's gonna be a whole weekend. It's gonna start Friday night and Sunday night.
Basically, expect that you're not getting any sleep. You're gonna be walking around. You're gonna be like half dead.
You're not gonna leave your house.
You're not even gonna leave your house. That's basically what it's gonna be. Like it's messed up. But I think also, I mean, if you think about it, the attendance for the W pay-per-views. Do you guys think that it's done anything in regard to sales? I mean, over time, has it improved, and do you think that has an impact on the show itself? Because if you really think about it, if you look back in the day, like in the early 2000s and 1990s, they had these big sets for the pay-per-views. They had, like, for example, Armageddon had this big-ass set with all these decorations and everything. You had, what else? Unforgiven with their whole thing and everything, with the seal sign.
I missed the hooks for Backlash.
Yeah, Backlash that had that hooks and everything.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, SummerSlam had that big S. But, like, you know, as time goes on, it seems like they're taking out those sets and now just having that default, you know, look for all the things.
That was one of the things I used to actually look forward to a pay-per-view to seeing, like, what kind of set they would put out, because
I think a lot of people look forward to the sets.
Yeah, in the Attitude Era, you know, the sets were a really big part of making the show feel special, and I don't think anybody's gonna disagree with me there. And then looking back, what they do now, you know, WrestleMania, bam, has a big special set, and now SummerSlam this year actually had the big, nice, you know, WrestleMania looking set. So I do applaud the fact, you know, that they do pay attention to these things now. But I think...
Yeah, but why can't they pay attention to the fans who want actual good matches?
Yeah, I agree. I think part of it might be the LED lights and the way they have to position them. So I think they're only stuck with one default set. But I mean, put things around it. I mean, put party lights or balloons or something related to the show. Make it look a little special. Decorate something near the ring. Throw streamers. Do some shit.
Bring back the fist.
Special.
Bring back the fist.
Yeah. Bring back the fist.
Something like that. Yes. Yeah. I mean, well, here's another thing too. With I think they're doing that because of the money. Because one, you know, it sits more people in the ring. Because if you notice now, the ring area has gotten smaller. Well, actually, recently it's gotten a little bigger. But I mean, basically, there's more, you know, more room to fit more people in. So I guess that's the psychology behind that. But still, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like we kind of miss those kind of sets. You know, basically see that. And it's kind of, you know, it basically brings like an exclusivity to the pay-per-view. Basically says, okay, this is something special. Because if you just see the same set, it's like, okay, I've been here. This is okay. This is the same thing as the other pay-per-views. What's the difference, you know? But let me ask you about this too. Speaking of being exclusive, back in the day, in like early 2000s, maybe after 1990, you know, towards the end of the 1990s, they had exclusive pay-per-views for the UK.
Oh, Insurrection and Rebellion?
Insurrection and Rebellion.
Did
you guys hear about the story called The Plane Ride from Hell?
No.
That's when Mr. Perfect took down Brock Lesnar at 15,000 feet.
Yep, you know about this, right? Yeah, so basically what happened was, you know, many wrestlers have commented on this. Goldust, Justin Incredible, who else? I think Jim Cornette, a whole bunch of people have gone ahead and had commented on this. Basically, whenever they would go over there, it would be a tour. And it would be a chartered flight. Basically, they would rent out the whole plane. The wrestlers would have free time, and, you know, basically they would, you know, sit down, chill. And here's another thing. Basically, it's a bar on wings. So basically, on the flight, they had an actual bar full of liquor, mind you. And basically, it was the story. Basically, what happened was, you know, one of the pay-per-views, they were coming back. They did the pay-per-view. They said, all right, good. You know, we sold out, whatever. They're flying over. Mr. Perfect gets into a little scuffle with Brock. They end up doing their thing, and it gets real at one point. So the next thing you know, they're fighting, and then like they were doing a legit, you know, Greco-Roman wrestling thing. And the next thing you know, one of them bangs into the emergency door, nearly opens it at 15,000 feet. And it's kind of surreal to think, oh my God, you know, that really happened back then. And you got to think too, why aren't they doing that anymore? Because of that. Because of that, right? Then I mean, do you guys feel like they should bring back those pay-per-views?
I do.
Nick doesn't. Nick probably doesn't, because that'll add another 32 hours to coverage.
I like the idea. I don't like the idea of adding more content. I mean, because now
it's too much for you, right?
You know, freaking what is it now? And then they're doing a pay-per-view every week now, and then
every 2 weeks you have a pay-per-view to cover.
Every day there's going to be a pay-per-view now, and then they bring back Taboo Tuesday, and then they're gonna do Wednesday Melee, and then Thursday.
Hey, imagine if they bring back the Brawl for All. You're gonna have to cover that too.
Oh my God.
Oh God, it's gonna be a brawl for all in my freaking brain.
But I mean, here's another thing too. They haven't done any kind of international pay-per-views anymore. But they've
Not
done it
yet.
instead now. Yeah, I mean they've
Wait,
done
wait,
the
wait, because they did take over London.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they also did Beast in the East.
They're
I
doing
mean,
Australia.
yep. I mean they haven't done any kind of WWE like the pay-per-views. I'm talking about like just the pay-per-views. I mean, of course NXT is gonna be a touring brand.
Breaking news: WWE's gonna do more pay-per-views just to piss off Nick Lopez.
They're putting on the pay-per-view right now, actually.
Nick won't watch it for another month and a half because all the coverage he has to do now.
Well, it's a pain. It's a lot of pay-per-views. Well, here's another thing though. This whole year, I mean, they did a statistic. Basically, this whole year had the most pay-per-views compared to any other year before. Because if you really think about it, it was kind of like the pre-draft where they had basically the whole cycle of each brand is on both brands are on the same pay-per-view to having this whole separate pay-per-view setup where every 2 weeks is a pay-per-view. Because if you think about it, what was it? They had a Royal Rumble. They had was it Roadblock? They had what else? Fastlane.
Wait. Yeah. There's been 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4,
WrestleMania.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So far, I've done 12 pay-per-view reviews, pay-per-view live special reviews.
And that's the most you've done, right?
Only
And you have
in
another
August.
37 to go.
Only in August. And there's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Wait. There's another roadblock in December?
Yep.
What the fuck?
There is.
So 20.
My God, why?
Yeah. So 20 pay-per-views compared to last year, and basically.
What the hell am I gonna call roadblock? What the hell am I gonna call this roadblock review? Because I already have a roadblock review. What the hell? They need to call this
Roadblock from
different.
Hell.
Well, they might change the names. You never know, because they've had a history of doing that, where they said, okay, they definitely should. I think they're running out of names now.
Ready? You have No Mercy, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, TLC, and Roadblock coming up.
There's going to be more pay-per-views for sure in between, definitely. Because if you think about it, Survivor Series is going to be a unified pay-per-view. TLC is either going to be Raw or SmackDown. But then what about the other show? So they're definitely going to have one more pay-per-view for sure. Definitely.
There's nothing announced for March 2017.
So far, 2016, it has 10 pay-per-views that happened, 5 more confirmed.
It's crazy. It's real hectic. I mean, this is the most.
I'm gonna look at 2015.
13.
Hold on, let me look at 2015, just to see everything that we covered
so far
on the site. So 2015, you had 1, 2, 3. Wait. I want to see that. I want to see it with the live specials.
According to this, Nick, you did 13 main card WWE pay-per-views. Just from Wikipedia.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it because I forget how many takeovers they did last year. Because there was Brooklyn, there was Respect, there was
London,
Rival, London. Trying to type it.
Fatal 4-Way?
No, Fatal 4-Way was I think it was 2014. I'm just trying to look at 2015, see like everything that. Yeah, just outside of the NXT specials, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Add Takeover Brooklyn, that's 14. Add Takeover Respect, that's 15. Add Takeover
5.
Rival, that's 16. Add Beast in the East, that's 17. That's 17 right there.
Wow.
And then this year, yeah, there's going to be freaking 19. And then add TNA's 2 pay-per-views and ROH's, I think, 7 pay-per-views. So that's half of the year. Half of the year is just pay-per-views. I think that's 26 weeks out of the 52 weeks in the year. There are pay-per-view events that week. It's just crazy.
How many weeks?
52 weeks. 26 weeks of them have a pay-per-view of some sort on it.
And just think, 2 of them come in one weekend sometimes.
Yeah, 3
You
of
have
them
the
come in
Takeover.
one weekend.
You have the Takeover special and the pay-per-view. That's just WWE.
Yeah, that's crazy talk. But I mean, NXT Takeover in of itself is just brilliantly done. There's yet to be a bad Takeover show, but again, the content list just keeps growing and growing and growing. If you put on so many pay-per-views, you're actually blocking the chance to have a really standout show because, hey, you know, they're going to start just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. You're not really going to have a chance to make a pay-per-view feel special because what the hell? There's going to be a pay-per-view only 2 weeks later.
That's what they're doing right now.
I missed the time when they had 12 pay-per-views, 1 a month. That's it. That's all you need.
They should go back to that.
I do think before we end out, I should mention my favorite all-time WWE pay-per-view, and that's WrestleMania 22 was a close second because that had the Edge McFoley hardcore match.
Yeah.
And then you had Cena and Triple H, and then you had a couple. Then you had Trish and Mickey James, and the Chicago crowd itself was amazing. 1 Stand 06 was amazing. Like 2006 was a really good pay-per-view year. You had Edge cashing in at New Year's Revolution, but I think my personal favorite pay-per-view of all time is WrestleMania X7, 17, if you will.
With the whole fantasy battle royal where Taker, where it was Rock and Stone Cold, where it was all that stuff.
Undertaker and Triple H. Iron Sheik took 18 years to get to the ring. You had a gimmick battle royal. You had Jericho and Regal. You had the 3-way hardcore match that was just freaking hilarious. You had there was something for everybody on that show.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even that long either. I think it was what, 2 hours, 3 hours?
4 hours. It was 4 hours.
Wow, really?
It was an entertaining 4 hours.
Interesting.
Nick, Sal, what would you say is your favorite pay-per-view?
My favorite of all time?
If you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one, let me think. I'd say definitely it would be One Night Stand, 2005, where it was Paul Heyman and his brainchild basically doing that. Simply because it was him, organic, and it wasn't anything, And here's another thing: it was a pitch. It wasn't like an official thing. It was kind of like they were scared of doing it because they were hesitant and thinking, oh, what's the demand for this? Is there really demand? Is it really going to work? And it was a doubt. But Paul Heyman actually made it work, and it actually made it soar through. Because if you notice, that pay-per-view was grossing a lot compared to almost any other pay-per-view that year. So definitely, I mean, I would say One Night Stand 2005.
Okay. Not bad.
What about you?
My favorite pay-per-view of all time took place on March 14, 2004 at Madison Square Garden with 18,000 fans there. WrestleMania 20.
Oh, yeah, the Triple H Shawn Michaels classic.
Yeah.
Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and
the main whose name we can't speak of, right?
Well, we've been botching everything tonight, so Chris Benoit.
Well, that was actually a very legendary build-up too, because basically you had, he won the Royal Rumble, came over from SmackDown, was the underdog, basically had that whole height differential, and that was actually one of the first times where there was like a guy that was short, right?
Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle.
Phenomenal match, yeah. That was legendary too.
There's only one downfall about that pay-per-view, though. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar.
2 guys that were leaving, right? Well, here's another thing too.
I think that was the first time that a crowd really took over a show like that.
And of that magnitude too, WrestleMania of all stages, and that was at Madison Square Garden, New York. So of course, New York fans, they don't play.
Oh, New York fans are the best.
They're the best fans too. Indeed,
if they don't like you, you'll know.
You had the whole 5 boroughs. You had upstate. You had Long Island. You basically had everything.
Jersey.
You had Jersey too. Basically, the whole world was in that one place, but everybody from the 5 boroughs, Long Island, upstate. Basically, we took over that night. Basically, that was like that was New York. Basically, we made that's it. We just
I just think if Cena was like the super Cena he is now back then, how bad would he have, would the crowd have been?
Well, every time it goes to New York, they still boo, right?
Oh, they have juice him.
What about remember WrestleMania 29 with that whole thing was New York, New Jersey? They kind of put this front where it was like, okay, no, there was no one booing anybody, but then next thing you know, of course, lo and behold, they kind of said, oh, they just ignored the whole thing. Oh, Cena won, whatever. It's all right. Oh, everything's all well and good. But then there was people rioting, saying shit, in that crowd. So we've talked about pretty much all of our,
you didn't hear this, but Nick has the whole count of pay-per-views from 2015 that he covered.
How much? How many pay-per-views?
I think it was
37
of this year alone.
30.
2015.
Counting counting all the NXT Takeover events too.
Yeah, it has to be because
because they're kind of pay-per-views now too. So that's crazy. So 36. That's a lot. That's crazy.
Half the year was pay-per-views, he said.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's too much. And how many months are in a year? Almost 12, right? So 12 and 30. That's basically doing 3 times as much events. So basically, it's 3 events on average per month, basically, right?
That's all the shows. That's ROH, TNA, NXT, WWE.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing too. Before we wrap up, WWE Network versus the pay-per-view system. What do you guys have thoughts on that? So basically, back then they had pay-per-views being for $54.99 by the cable provider, and now it's $10.99 or $9.99.
$45.99 for the regular, and then $49.99 for the HD.
Yeah, so I mean, personally,
WrestleMania was $69.99 because of the 4 hours.
Yep. But what are you guys' thoughts on that? Which do you think is a better model in regard to WWE and for them to benefit?
I think they just keep it the way it is. Keep true to the original plug of that it's always going to be $9.99 with we could put up with commercials. Just keep the live pay-per-views going. I mean, if you had to compare what it was like now to having to order the show on pay-per-view for $35 something. I mean,
and majority of the time you missed the first couple minutes trying to order it.
Yep.
And then sometimes you'd have to try to find the stream online, and how annoying that could be. Now that you have the WWE Network, you could go back and watch anything. You could literally watch it on demand. You could watch it. I'd say I don't want to watch WrestleMania when it airs live. I don't know what wrestling fan on earth would say that, but you could watch it on Wednesday if you wanted to. Bam, right at your fingertips. Just press it to play. Bam, you're watching it. Whereas,
or you could also, if you don't want to watch it, you could read it on that one specific website.
Yeah, you can read it on ProWrestlingOpinion.com. I actually think you should do that right now. I got WrestleMania 32 and WrestleMania 31 on there. So shameless plug, but check it out. It's fun to read.
Yep.
There's gonna be a lot more pay-per-view reactions coming your way.
WrestleMania 33 probably won't be up on the site until WrestleMania 34 happens.
I think WrestleMania 35 is when I'll finally get WrestleMania 33 up, because I think in 2018 they're gonna have 60 pay-per-view events.
Who knows? They might have even more. Maybe it might be a pay-per-view for every day.
NXT is gonna throw out takeovers every month. And then WWE's, because they have to upstage them, they're gonna put out pay-per-views every single day.
And they still won't have good content as much as NXT takeovers do.
Basically.
Well, they got that purchase that they made for a TNA library. What do you guys' thoughts on that before we end off? So basically now you can watch. Well, supposedly here's the idea. I think Rich, you broke this up on Twitter, right? By the way, follow us on RSN. Was it RSN Podcast on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you said that. Yeah. What'd you say about that?
Well, from what I read today, which I shared on Facebook, which you could also see on the RSN Podcast Facebook, they want to raise the network price to $14.99 and have TNA shows, ROH shows, Progress shows, and Evolve shows for $14.99 on the WWE Network.
Who knows? Maybe CZW is gonna come up on there too. Basically, they're going for the indie market too, aren't they?
If this would be Nick's dream, though, all the companies go to the WWE Network.
That would be. I mean, basically, that would make WWE like the top, basically like the biggest,
The monopoly.
Yeah, but not the monopoly of all wrestling streaming pay-per-views. So that's one thing. I think that's what they're trying to shoot for.
But that'd be so much easier for Nick.
Basically, everybody. We don't have to pay for. We don't have to deal with all these cable companies. Saying, "Oh, we don't have that channel," or "Oh, we don't have El Rey. What the hell is El Rey?" Like, come on, man. Like, you guys are a cable company. Oh, El Rey. Oh, if you want to buy it, you'd have to, purchase a package.
This.
Yeah, you got to package that. You got to purchase another $30 package, which has like 50 other channels that you don't need, but you're obviously trying to get this one channel. But it's okay. By the way, that's basically my plug. I don't know if you guys know about this, but now there's starting to be this revolution with the TV now. So now they're saying that the cable is kind of being obsolete now because now you have
obsolete.
It's obsolete. Yes.
Delete.
Delete. And there's gonna be a day, definitely. There's gonna be a day where it's gonna be deleted because they're saying that now with I don't know if you guys have heard. You should try this out. Sling and PlayStation VUE. They got this thing where it's available online. It's basically like a cable subscription. So if you were to go to like any network website, they have a thing where it says watch live. So if you want to go on USA Network on their store or go into the app, you go onto there. It's gonna say watch live. You can hit it and you can watch the whole pay-per-view live. Or if you want to watch the show back, you can do that too. So, I mean, you guys should look into it. I'm paying like $40 a month for that, and it's fantastic. I love it. It's better than cable. You guys should look into it. Because I know with cable, you're paying, like a couple of fees and shit and all that. But with, like, Sling or PlayStation VUE, it's basically just going in. You basically see your program. You pay a flat rate. I think it's like $30, $40 a month. And that's it. You got everything. Definitely be sure to check that out, too. But, yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, we're not getting paid for that, but I think that's a better option than paying for cable box and all that stuff. So definitely check it out. But nonetheless, this is the RSN Wrestling Podcast. This is the Mastermind. We got the big guy.
See you later, guys.
And also we got Nick from PWO.
The
Nick Lopez from PWO.
Hey, he didn't even read it finally.
If only if we didn't, we wouldn't be able to. But this is basically our outro. We'll see you guys out. Be sure to check out also a SoundCloud page where we're going to post up different podcasts there. Our Facebook page, be sure to like that. Also, be sure to check out PWO, ProWrestlingOpinion.com. Like them on Facebook. Also, check us out on YouTube. Be sure to like us there. And also our Twitter page that was recently established where Rich is running it. It's at RSN Podcast.
And as Sal said, I am better than TMZ. I get down into the files, and I get you breaking news before it even hits the internet.
Indeed. So basically, with us, you're getting a full package deal. You're getting the coverage from PWO. You're getting Rich, who has the full scoop of everything, what's going on right now and what's going on later. And also, you got this right here, the RSN Wrestling Podcast.
By the way, there is going to be no 800 pay-per-views in a year for Nick to cover.
Definitely, it's true. We'll try it slowly. But here's another thing too. We recently made an announcement that we're gonna be having shoots every other week. So it's gonna be every 2 weeks. We'll announce it. We'll let you guys know. There'll be days where we'll stop in. It'll be me and Rich mostly. But if anything, we'll definitely call Nick from PWO to come in and talk about everything.
You mispronounced his name. It's the Nick Lopez.
Nick Lopez. My fault.
Get it right, man. Get it right.
The Nick Lopez. I gotta remember that now. From now on, we can't say COO. We can't say executive. Now it is the Nick.
It's not glorious.
Lopez. Indeed, it is. It's not glorious, but we'll try to make it glorious slowly. Nonetheless, we'll see you guys out.
See you guys.
Peace out.